Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica White, editor at Supply Chain Brain, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar on EDI migration, everything you need to know, presented by Comarch. One quick reminder, there will be a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So audience, please submit your questions at any time by clicking that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We'll get to as many questions as we can, time permitting. Now, with many countries introducing legal requirements for electronic document exchange, global companies may find it difficult to stay compliant with differing demands. They may also face challenges in maintaining data security and finding enough resources, especially if their EDI system was developed years ago and there's a limited circle of specialists who can handle it now. Is there a simple way to address all of these issues? Well, fortunately, yes, and we will be getting to all of that today. With that, I would like to introduce our speakers for today's presentation. Based in Milan, we have Katya Kancheva, who is a business solution manager at Comarch. She has international experience in digitalization, and Katya is responsible for consulting EDI, master data management, and E-Invoicing for multinationals, with a focus on the Italy market. Based in New York City, Joanna Dobrzyńska is also a business solution manager at Comarch. She works with retail and consumer good companies around the world, providing step-by-step advice on introducing digital transformation. Joanna offers guidance in understanding the true potential of technology for intelligent process automation and improved decision-making. Also based in New York City, we have Kenneth Taylor, a business development manager at Comarch. He is primarily responsible for the growth and success of Comarch's data exchange products in North America. He's passionate about e-invoicing and EDI because of their value in reducing complexity and cost for a company's data exchange. With that, here's Kenny.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where in the world you may be. First, I want to thank everyone for joining. I hope you find this webinar informative and you walk away with some helpful tips for changing your EDI. As Jessica said, my name is Kenneth Taylor, and I support primarily North American clients throughout their EDI journey. Before Joanna gets into the heart of the matter, I wanted to first start with a brief introduction to Comarch to demonstrate our experience and expertise in EDI. In case you're not familiar with Comarch, and to provide a little company background about us and our history as an introduction, Comarch was founded in 1993 by a university IT professor in beautiful Krakow, Poland. And over the past 29 years, we've implemented thousands of projects around the world and grown to over 7,000 employees and $400 million in annual revenue. So we take a tech-centric approach with 80% of employees being first-class programmers, software developers, and engineers who work to create products focusing on technological innovation. And for this reason, 93% of our sales come from proprietary software and services. In other words, we are an end-to-end solution provider. So from point of first contact to ongoing support after implementation, you're always working with us. We don't deal with third parties and we never outsource. So while our roots are in Poland, today we have over 90 offices in 69 cities across 32 different countries. We operate on 5 continents and have implementations on every continent, except of course for Antarctica. I'd also like to point out the data centers that Comarch operates across the world, which you can see in this map. Right here in North America, we have 3, one in Montreal, one in Toronto, and one in Chicago. And we're building a brand new state-of-the-art enterprise data center right outside of Phoenix in the technology corridor of Mesa, Arizona, where the likes of Google, Facebook, and Apple all have data centers as well. We're very excited for this location to open next month. Our products and services are not limited to just EDI or data exchange. Comarch has multiple divisions, and we create technology to the telecommunications sector, the financial services sector, and the healthcare sector, just to name a few. And each division of Comarch has products with its own specific industry functionalities and capabilities. Our data exchange products, including EDI, fall within our services division. So our data exchange includes master data management, EDI, online distribution, and e-invoicing, each with AI capabilities to improve supply chain operations and reduce disruptions. Thanks to our technologically innovative products, we're proud to have gained the trust of many global companies across multiple industries. More specifically for data exchange, we have a proud portfolio of clients, including the ones seen here. With all these companies using our data exchange products, our software exchanges over 650 million documents annually, connects 130,000 entities from 50 plus countries, and this includes governmental organizations, NGOs, and private companies, and we support global standards including PEPL and GS1. Also, our data exchange and document management software is created to provide a holistic approach to the supply chain. So we allow you to connect with partners and smoothly launch projects, synchronize your product data, and integrate our software with your internal systems, easily fulfill orders, optimize logistics, and manage your stock and sales data. And finally, you can manage your legally compliant invoicing with real-time status tracking, automated AP/AR processes, and archive old invoices online. And you can do all this in one place with our harmonized system. So with that, I'd like to pass it off to Joanna, who will take you through everything you need to know about EDI migration. Enjoy, and please remember to ask questions at the end of the presentation. And if we don't get to your question today, we will be releasing a follow-up article answering any questions we missed. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar about EDI, or to be more precise, about how to deliver a specific IT project focusing on modernizing your EDI solution. Every day, we send and receive orders. We have to update the stock or pay the invoices. All this is processed by EDI, so if we care about our business and our trading partners, we should do the healthy checkups of our EDI landscape at least from time to time. Aim of today's webinar is to show you how can you benefit and what can be your struggle depending on your EDI setup. Also, I would like to reflect a little bit on when we should consider changing our current EDI solution, or simply which touch points are important to check when using EDI technology. I will also show you some additional features of EDI that can support making business decisions. And creme de la creme of today's session will be one of our case studies, EDI migration in Fila Group. Okay, so let's start. The most classic and oldest approach is the in-house solution. Such option is used by many large companies in industries such as retail, manufacturing, and healthcare. The advantage of such approach is for sure full control over the process, as everything is created within your organization. What's more, it doesn't require any third-party services for the implementation and maintenance. The only problem is that the in-house EDI solution are slowly becoming the song of the past, and people who build them are getting retired, or simply they change the organization and take the knowledge with them. In such solutions, I would say that it's crucial to have a data repository with all the EDI specs in one place. Another advantage of having own EDI is no need of paying a license and depending on your provider in terms of the costs. The only question is if hiring a developer or an EDI admin that will do the necessary updates will be more economic than a yearly license provided by the external partner. What is also special about in-house EDI is the lifetime access to your company data, as the solution is being hosted on your own instances. So basically, you can access the data whenever you want to, plus you can easily get your historic data too. But on the other hand, in-house EDI limits you in terms of the expertise. In-house solution requires team with specific expertise and knowledge in EDI technology, which may not always be available in your organization or simply might be an additional cost that could be reduced by outsourcing it and reallocating your people to some more strategic operations. We also must bear in mind additional equipment like having your own hardware, software, and other infrastructure. Well, in general, I would say that EDI solution should be seen as the thing that grows and evolves over the time, like an live organism, as the requirements of our business partners grow and evolve over the time too. And these changes refers to the data formats or protocols that might be difficult to handle by the internal EDI. And actually, this can result in the compliance issues with your trading partners. So let's say that the growth of our business should go together with the growth of the technology we use. And in this case, in-house EDI systems might become a little bit outdated and their upgrades might be very expensive. Additionally, since the system needs to integrate with our business applications and also the processes, we have to deal with the necessity of scalability and flexibility. The second option I'm going to talk about is EDI provided by the external solution provider, but installed on your premise. With on-premise solutions, companies have complete control over their data and IT infrastructure. Apart from owning the data, the process of protection is also a little bit easier as they can protect them by their own security protocols. But on the other hand, in the era of working remotely, the access to the data might be a bit difficult in this case. What's more, to implement on an on-premise solution, you have to fit it very well to the current IT ecosystem of the organization. Such integrations can be quite challenging as they require IT expertise and some resources that companies might not have. And what is the similar here to the in-house solution is that we have to take into account that on-premise solutions are limited in terms of how much data they can handle, which means that it cannot scale up easily when there is an increase in the business volume. And another thing is the high cost of hosting and the need for regular upgrades, which again requires resources. And I think all of us can agree that companies suffer rather from a shortage than an excess of the resources. Okay, so the last category I will discuss today is the SaaS solution, which allows you to completely outsource the EDI process and transfer the responsibility to an external partner. When it comes to the cost, compared to the two previous solutions, they are definitely lower. As it is cloud-based, there is no need for business to make significant upfront investment in the hardware. But instead, you have to pay a subscription fee that covers the cost of using the software and also the maintenance. This actually can result in a significant cost saving in the long run, as such solutions can allow businesses to scale up depending on their needs. Another thing is the reduced time to market, as SaaS EDI can be implemented quite quickly and easily. It gives the opportunity to start exchanging EDI documents with your trading partners, sometimes even in a couple of days. And this actually can help in launching products in the market faster and allows you stay ahead of the competitors. What's more, it also automates manual processes involved in EDI document exchange, which can definitely reduce the risk of errors and improve your efficiency. What is also very crucial from the business perspective is that it can free up resources that can be used to focus on other significant business tasks. The other aspect that is super important, and it's different when comparing with in-house or on-premise, is definitely better security. I would say that as offering high standards of security of your data is one of the musts of SaaS providers, that they are compete about it a lot. Believe it or not, we invest heavily in security measures to protect your data, as we know that it gives you greater peace of mind, knowing that your data is secure and protected from cyber attacks. On the other hand, integrating SaaS EDI with existing system can be challenging, especially if you want to do it via vendor's API, and it does not align with your business infrastructure. It also makes you dependent on your vendor. So whenever there is something pending on your site to do, for example, to be onboarded to a new standard provided by your business partner, apart from considering your internal workload, you also have to take into consideration your vendor's schedule. So what I would advise in such case is to put some records about the way the service is provided in the contract that you sign at the very beginning of cooperation with your vendor. I would also say that you definitely have to bear in mind the fees and the licenses your business have to pay to the vendor. But before denying this option, you should definitely compare the cost of having your own infrastructure for EDI, or how much would it be to invest in a migration, because it actually might result that additional one-off costs for migration project in the long run would be nothing compared to the maintenance of on-premise solution. And the very last thing, as EDI requires the exchange of highly sensitive and confidential data, there is always a risk of data breaches and cyber attacks. So whenever considering an external partner, check their performance in the past to see how often did they face and how did they face such issues. Okay. So we already know what can we expect after having certain solution on our end. Now, let's see when actually should we considering changing our EDI landscape. First of all, we should really think about it whether it is in-house or on-premise or cloud, if the existing system is outdated or incompatible with the new technologies. As I've already mentioned, EDI should be seen as something that is alive, that grows with the time and that evolves, that is basically just like adding new suppliers or customers, or our trading partners, if they want to extend the messages to ASN in US or dispatch advices in Europe. So important point here is also the scalability, which is simply the side effect of what I've just mentioned. The growth of our EDI should be linked to the growth of our business. Also, we should require efficiency that should reduce manual processes, so your resources, your people can focus on more business-related and strategy-oriented tasks than operations. And also, our EDI has to handle it all. If it does not, then yes, I would say that it's a high time to start thinking about switching to a different option. And apart from these points, we should also at least do a small check or audit our current EDI landscape when we merge with another company or when we are switching to a new ERP. Okay, so let's assume that one of the arguments I just mentioned actually appealed to you, and let's suppose that you or people you work with are not satisfied with the current solution. So the question is, what should you expect in return from such EDI migration project? First of all, EDI migration helps businesses to automate their processes so they can reduce errors and decrease the time and also resources required to manage transactions. In one of their researches, GS1 shows that companies that have decided to automate invoice processing using EDI are able to reduce costs from about $3.35 to $1.16 per invoice. The new EDI should be above all a flexible solution, which means that it can adapt to a business changing needs and growth. The third point is that the key aspect of EDI migration, which, let's be honest, requires us to incur financial input, should result in cost reduction in a long term. And it really should be a significant reduction. So, for example, at least 61%, as in the statistics published by GS1. I would say that a modern EDI solution should reduce transactional costs, eliminate paper-based processes, and help businesses avoid inventory and other errors. As the main result we are looking for in such project is a significant save in the costs. The fourth point should be also seen in the improvement in relationship with our trading partners. So the new EDI solution should ensure that everyone is always on the same page and there are no miscommunication or misunderstandings. In our own survey that we conducted amongst our clients in 2019, we received the statistics that thanks to the implementation of EDI, their relationship with their business partner improved by over 17%. Apart from that, an extremely important aspect is the guarantee of the compliance. A modern EDI solution should ensure compliance with industry standards and regulations, such as HIPAA in the United States or GDPR in Europe, but also it should consider the local invoicing requirements to protect our business from financial penalties and fines. And to be honest, I could go on forever, but the last important aspect of migration should be increased security. And this should be expressed by providing businesses with better control over their data and ensuring that the sensitive information is transmitted securely. Okay, so now I would like to present some specific functions that such modern EDI should offer. So first of all, a modern EDI shouldn't be just EDI. It should provide additional business values that comes from trading data the EDI exchanges. So for this purpose, we can actually use a separate module whose input data will come from our EDI. So the raw data can be visualized via different dashboards and reports, and they can be kind of a catalyst of the knowledge about our partners and the types of the messages we exchange with them. Actually, if we use direct EDI, tracking can be very often the only source of visualizing our EDI data. So an additional advantage is that it shows not only historical data, but also the real time, which actually can give us a very clear picture of the performance of our trading partners. And thanks to this, we can see how long the order delivery process takes from its submission, or how can we quickly be paid by our partners. And apart from showing the performance of the partners, tracking can also send us the errors notifications. So if there is something wrong with the document, sometimes we can see it even before the partner that has just sent us this message. And staying on the subject of onboarding and cooperation with our partners, I assume that not everyone represents a high level of the digitalization. So what to do in cases where we want to have a transparent EDI landscape and that all our business partners use one communication channel? Well, you can't tell them always to implement a full EDI solution for sure, but what can you definitely do is to invite them to use a web portal. So this is a very nice alternative solution for companies that do not have EDI, or they exchange a very limited type of messages, and extending them with the new ones would be associated with very high costs. So the logic behind such portal is very similar to what it is in an email box. So after logging into the portal, we can receive messages and we can also send them in a readable format, which is previously created based on a specific message template. So what's more, in order to connect a new user who will use this portal, we only need to get an email address, so they receive an activation link, and that's it. Apart from that, we can also upload our product catalog, which would make it easier in the future for your suppliers or for your clients to create responses to your orders, or also to create invoices. And at Comarch, we have a solution that uses intelligent business rules that can validate, that can enrich and exchange data without any use of paper. Another tool that will be especially useful during migration project, or when we want to extend our EDI communication with a new message, is a self-onboarding portal. This is the portal that is dedicated to your suppliers, or can be actually to any of your business partners. And its main task is to connect or obtain compliance status to your solution. So what is also cool about such portals is that very often can be customized and adjusted to your corporate design, so the user won't even spot that you're using some external provider. And of course, depending on the project, it can support you in collecting master data from your business partners, or even it can help you to test some specific standards or messages. Also, the other advantage of this type of solution is that you don't have to interact with suppliers who have to adapt to the new requirements. So such portal can actually provide more dynamics to the projects, and it can let you save a lot of time. It's also easier actually for your trading partner, as they can receive one link where they can enter anytime they want. So it gives them a lot of flexibility, and they can easily plan fulfilling your requirements according to their schedule. So yeah, and what's more, I would say that it also guarantees that they can access to the essential documents and training materials, which are always very crucial during such projects anytime they want to. And also, as for the financial aspect, if we have our EDI under control and if we really use it to communicate with our trading partners, it can also serve us as a lot of control in our financial condition. The question is, like, how can we do it? So actually it's very simple, because only by having a real-time and standardized data that is like error-free, we can be in a full control over the flow of invoices in our company. Apart from that, we can check also how often and how fast are we being paid by a specific partner, which can lead us to a certain conclusion regarding our cooperation with them. And apart from that, if we are a multinational company with many subsidiaries all over the world, or if we cooperate at least with such companies, there is a great chance that in their country there is a mandatory invoicing. And if you are not able to receive or deliver a compliant invoice or actually any other financial document, it might result that we could pay some penalties or our partner would like to terminate our cooperation. So actually this point is super important. So whenever you are looking for a new partner, check them if they can offer you a legal compliance invoicing. So even if you don't have such need today, actually your tomorrow is quite unknown. So I will definitely check up this point. And yeah, so I think that from financial perspective, EDI can be a great source of data when it comes to the integration with your ERP, with your QuickBooks, or any other internal system you use in order to control your sales or purchasing. And actually, thanks to having always fresh data, I think it wouldn't be a huge exaggeration to call EDI your main source for your financial reporting. And right now, I have a great pleasure to pass my voice to my colleague, Katya Kancheva, who will provide you a case study about Fila Group. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Hello, everyone. It is indeed a great pleasure also for me to introduce this migration project that happened both in Europe and the US about Fila. Fila, also known in Italian as Fabbrica Italiana Lapis ed Affini. And we're not talking about the clothing brand. It's actually a multinational supplier of art materials and related products such as pencils, dyes, and other materials of this kind. It's a quite an old company. As you can see, it's been coloring the future since 1920s, currently present in 150 countries. And while it was founded in Florence in Italy, it actually currently the headquarters are in Milan in Italy. The brand has grown so much that currently they have around 25 product brands. Some well-known in the US are Dixon and Pecon or also Canson. And they have around 22 specialized factories and currently around 8,000 employees. This has greatly contributed to quite a hefty revenue of 654 million in 2021. So the company keeps growing, expanding, and growing around the world. So how did that impact their project? Why are we working with them? We were really honored to start this project quite a few years ago. And exactly the geographical expansion, the growth, and the fact that they had to migrate quite a lot of ERP systems led them to us. And what we did is that we helped them go ahead with a global EDI migration project. This project was quite complex because of the geographical dispersion. So it happened both in Europe and also in the US, and it's currently growing also outside of these continents. And we're talking about two different EDI standards. So we have EDIFACT and ANSI X12 in the US, while EDIFACT is more popular in use in Europe. And it's the countries of the initial rollout, as you can see on this slide, we have Italy, we have France, we have Germany, Spain, Belgium, the Great Britain, and also the US. And our project keeps expanding. So what happened is that initially we had to do mapping for around 28 EDI messages. So that's quite complex. And as you can see from this, as I told you, they were done in 2 different formats. So it was quite hefty. And this was for around 200 partners. And these 200 partners and the 28 mappings brought us to over 700 relations, actually almost 800 ATI relations in the past couple of years. With the growing relations, the growing traffic of partners, this actually led to overall yearly exchange documents of around 1 million documents per year. And this actually keeps growing, not just because of the ADI relations, but also because of e-invoicing regulations. So Asha did tell you, Joanna told you earlier about the fact that there's quite a lot happening and keeps happening and will happen in the future. So this kind of brought this project ahead, not just with a focus on ADI, but also with the focus on legal invoicing. So what tools did we give them as a disposition? Apart from the classic ADI, the migration process and helping them with all the implementation due to the complexity of the project, we also gave them the web tracker application, the one that was mentioned earlier, to help them track and monitor their relations, their business activities, KPIs, and everything else that we mentioned. But we also gave them an e-archive. So we gave them 2 different types of archives. One is to store the EDI messages for a time needed by them. So if they want for 10 or even more years, they can do that. So all the EDI relations with their partners. However, since, as you can see, the project started rollout with Italy. Italy has very complex legal invoicing process with middle system tax authority, where all the invoices have to be processed there. So apart from the project extending to that, the legal e-archive is very specific. So we gave them, and we specifically adapted the archives for their needs so that they can manage and cover all the legal requirements in the country. And this is something that would be equivalent for every other country that would enter a new type of invoicing regulations. Apart from this, we also gave them web ADI for non-integrated messages with their ERP, so it was quite different. So this is more or less the scope of the project. So let's see some of the challenges that they faced and we faced together. Here are some of the most crucial ones. I said earlier, it was a project that happened on different time zones. So we had both Europe and the US, and even in Europe, time zone varies, same in the US. So it was quite challenging to manage not just dispersed people across the globe in terms of employees of FILA, but also the people who are responsible for implementation and also for the project management. And on top of this, there were such quiet requirements, such as, for example, the fact that we had to not only integrate 2 different formats, do a lot of mappings at the same time, but also we had to cover the rollout of the project simultaneously. So how did we do that? We have quite good synergy of our project management team. So they are very experienced in support of different time zone projects already from other projects that we have. Hence, they managed to give the dedicated support and to have a smooth rollout. Another challenge was kind of related to the outdated documentation. So, of course, with having different ERP systems, having different type of ADI, we saw earlier there is the classic ADI, which was in the past more often seen on premise, but then also now we have the SaaS one. Then we have different ERP systems. We have different partners with different IT maturity. Hence, very often this could result in documentation loss or not having existed at all. When it comes to then invoicing, it's something completely new. So it really, and that was quite a challenge. And this is very often it happens. And there is no internal repository. However, despite the fact, it was a good challenge in the sense that we helped create this documentation. So the project was a lot of effort, but it gives also the opportunity for both FILA and for us to create documentation and not to have anything lost and to have a good repository. Of course, business continuity during the project is very important. Not only the time zone, but there's like a lot of messages involved, and the business continuity, both for the partners and like the daily operations is important. So there had to be very smooth rollout. This was, of course, with the help of a project management team that had good communication. There are a lot of steer calls, a lot of meetings, people that were responsible for the different parts, in order to ensure that they can plan their operations well. So if something has to change from one ERP and we're changing something on their supply chain process, it was very important to ensure that there were no issues. And different methodology of communication channels. Why? Because some countries, some regions, they use different type of communication channels. And for example, in the US, it's quite often needed to have a WAN connection and mailbox. So we had to do that. And for some partners, they could use more than one communication channel. So maybe some used SFTP, but then also they needed a WAN connection or an email box, depending on the message or the process. And of course, last but not least is the onboarding process. We do offer various tools, but in such a complex project, I think it's very crucial that we help our clients and their business partners have smooth onboarding, smooth communication between them, and helping them track the processes and give them guidance throughout the project. So not only do we have a lot of project managers involved, like one main, but also others helping for the different time zones, but also we provided Jira ticketing system to help, dedicated one specifically for FILA, where they would receive everything directly in their email, and they could answer that email, and then we would manage through Jira. So yeah, this is more for the challenges, but as we mentioned, since there are quite a lot of challenges, this is just a simple input of a plan that can help you guide a company through what could be a good migration project plan. We see that number one is defining the project scope and milestones according to partner needs. So this is also something important, not just to have the different milestones planned, the different rollout plan, but also to be ready in case there are problems. This comes after you need to define the EDI messages, the format. So if you have any documentation, if you don't have it, you create it, as I noted. And then this would be followed by preparing the development and project management team, which they would work together. Step 3 and 4 are project management company and us. We all plan together. What are the steps? What are the mappings? What are the relations? And of course, maintain communication. Why? Because of course, not everything is always going to sail smoothly. There might be some issues. And there is need for, last but not least point, ongoing analysis and starting of development, follow-ups, hypercare, and all that. So as we spoke, we saw the challenges, we saw the project scope, we saw what could be some of the steps to ensure a good migration project. So what are the benefits that FILA saw from working with us? First, they saw increased efficiency in supply chain. Why? Because having a good EDI project, when everything is automated, everything is on cloud, you have tracking systems, mappings done, direct communication with partners, you save yourself a lot of time. You have better streamlined workflows between the different departments. So this helps you with better resources to manage transactions, a lot less errors. What do a lot less errors and better transactions and workflows lead to? They help with optimized communication with trading partners. They lead to, of course, cost savings because you have less manual work, you have less errors, you can track the errors as we showed you. You, of course, this way have less administrative costs and you save money. So there are also financial benefits that Asha mentioned earlier. So what else? These are just some of the benefits we note, and these really helps, of course, the communication between partners. So FILA could optimize all the relations because we talked about different geographical locations. These can be quite challenging. So it's very important that the communication goes well and the processes are smooth. So having automated processes, this communication, of course, makes sure that everybody is on the same page, first of all. And the last point, having a compliant solution with global and local standards, it's important because in Europe, everybody requires EDIFACT. So if you're a producer, you work with a lot of retailers, and sometimes retailers would push a lot for certain formats, for their own formats. So you have to adapt a lot. So we helped FILA adapt to all the requirements from the different retailers and partners they were working with, both in US and Europe in terms of EDIFACT and X12. And also to be compliant with standards such as the Italian invoicing standards and regulations. This, of course, is further growing because I know that this project is for both in Germany, Spain, France, all these countries. Some of them have already new invoicing regulations. Some will be coming in the future. So this is something that highly would impact the project, that we are first aware and we know how to help our clients, but also that we are fully compliant and it will be no issue for them. So with this, I'm leaving now to the next session where we can have some time for some Q&A and we can discuss your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katya and Joanna, for that really informative presentation. It looks like we do have some time for audience questions. I'm going to jump around, try to get to a couple here, but I do want to remind you that if we don't get to your question, they will be answered offline, so don't worry about that. First question, let me ask you, Joanna, what is the typical timeline if I want to outsource or change my EDI provider?
Okay, so, well, the timeline actually, the timeline to change an EDI solution can vary depending on several factors. And these factors can be the complexity of the current solution, the complexity of the chosen new solution, also the volume of the trading partners and transactions are very important. We also should consider data mapping and testing requirements that Katya has just mentioned in the FILA project. And finally, we should also take into consideration the resources available to manage the project. So, but answering to your question, I think that typically the process can take from a few weeks to several months, depending on the mentioned factors.
Okay, so let's go to Katya. I loved hearing that case study on FILA, so I like this question. How exactly did the FILA project management team help to cope with the time difference between the continents?
Oh, well, that was it was quite tough. I know some of the project management team. I work with them on a daily basis, especially the main project management. And what happened is that, especially when we reached a lot of the migration part in the US, there was a lot of support. There was some time sacrificing, but of course it's needed because it's very important to me. The client needs to find the right balance between everybody's time. Also, we discussed thoroughly with the FILA directly, so with their teams, both in the US and locally here, what would be the right time to manage questions that were related to the different time zones. So how we would address US challenges in the questions there. So apart from the Jira ticketing system that really helped to track the issues, where we have SLAs clearly defined. So it's very important for this type of projects to have clear communication between us and not just promise everything will be perfect. And then we had dedicated support. So we had levels of support dedicated for European time zones and for US time zones. So that was part of the SLA that we introduced, especially when we reached that part of the project. So the challenges were tackled mostly with communication and good planning, I'd say.
Okay, sure. And you mentioned some of the challenges going into the project, but did you run into any types of issues? What were they and how did you fix them?
Well, of course, there's always issues. These challenges were partially, not exactly an issue, I'd say. What we noted is sometimes you have go-live phases, and these go-live phases can be very crucial, very short period, or they might be in times that are very difficult for a lot of people to participate. For example, we had a go-live shortly after New Year's, and this needed a lot of hypercare, both during the process and after, because hypercare is a very crucial part of the project management, because you need to ensure after all the tests, the connections are created, the mappings are created, you have a period where you have to follow that everything goes smoothly. So if there are errors, why is there an error? Which side had the error? Because it can never be perfect. So these are the type of issues where you need to ensure that you have a hypercare, that people are giving extra of their time in some of our go lives, we had our project management team going directly to their factory or to the place where everything is developed to make sure the tests were done correctly, that the next few days everything was followed. So there were people on site and people off site following, making sure that the live was done in the time frame. So the issues were really related to this, I would say, sensitivity of the project and when everything happens and how it happens. So whenever there was an issue, it taught us for the next time we do implementation to do the hypercare better, or to involve more people, or to have people on standby. So more or less, that's it.
Sure, yeah, makes sense. I like this next question for probably a lot of our listeners. Our company has many business partners. Can you give tips on getting them all connected to the new system?
Okay, so in such case, I would say that it really depends on the time you want to accomplish the project of connecting your partners. So if it's something that should happen ASAP, or it can take some time. But if you have a lot of partners, like hundreds or thousands, I would say that you should first decide how much you would like to involve your own resources and how much of the work you would like to transfer to your EDI partner. To make it efficient, I would definitely try to outsource as much process as possible. And I'm not talking here about moving whole communication on your EDI partner, but rather to use a tool that could be accessed by your partners that you want to onboard anytime they want to. So they can do the project accordingly to their internal schedules, and depending actually on your goal, if it's just to connect to a new EDI or to implement a new message, I would try to include as much as possible of this activity in this tool. And that would also include some testing or getting the certification, so you don't have to face any disruptions in the future. And in general, I think that such tools are a super nice idea and option for you, as they give a lot of freedom to your partners, so they don't feel so much pressure, and your own resources are not so involved in the process. So yeah.
Sure. But what if a partner doesn't implement all of the necessary changes for the new EDI system? What should I do then?
In such case, I think that communication is like the key aspect. So you should try to communicate with your partner and first of all understand the reason for the rejection to implement the new changes. I think that it would be very helpful also to provide additional training to them in order to ensure them and yourself that they fully understand the benefits of EDI and how to use the new system solution requirement. Or you can maybe think of some alternative solutions, like offering a web portal when they can easily connect. The problem obviously starts when the volume of the document is high. So that would be my answer.
Yeah, makes sense. It looks like we are running a little low on time, but I want to get one more question in here. So a lot of information today, and some people may be overwhelmed by this EDI migration project. Should I be afraid of the project?
Well, thank you, Jessica, for this question. Actually, EDI might be a complex process, but I wouldn't say that it should be necessarily a cause of fear. What is for sure is that it requires careful planning, testing, and execution. But I think that with the right team and approach, it can be a relatively smooth transition. It's important to work closely with your EDI provider and also with your internal staff. So I would say that in order to really succeed in EDI migration, you should follow some general steps. Like, first of all, you should evaluate your current EDI process and see if it's efficient, if it's compliant, if it's compatible with the new technology, and if it's scalable for sure. The second point would be appointing already mentioned EDI migration team that should include people that work every day with EDI, some IT experts, and of course some stakeholders to oversee the entire migration process. After that, we should focus on planning our strategy that includes timeline, budget, resources, and potential risks. And the fourth point would be to organize some pilot with the group of trusted suppliers. And of course, and probably I should have mentioned at the very beginning, you should choose the right EDI provider that will, let's say, fulfill your expectations and have an experience in your industry and geography. So I believe that's everything.
Those are some great steps our audience can take moving forward. So thank you so much. And I want to thank all of our fantastic speakers from today, Kenneth, Joanna, and Katya. Thanks so much for the education and advice. And thank you, audience, for listening in and for all of your great questions. So you're looking now at some really valuable resources to continue this topic, dive a bit deeper. You can read about all the steps we talked about today for EDI migration by scanning this QR code and downloading a white paper. Or if your company is thinking about changing and wants to chat, you can reach out to Kenneth or Joanna, and their information is here on the screen. So grab that, take a screenshot, get the QR code, and thanks again, audience. Have a great day.